Hi guys, it's Lara. Thanks for watching and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm officially starting the documentation of my breast explant journey. So if you are new here, I will have my implants removed this April, and I have decided that I will document the entire journey here on my channel so that you guys know what it means for my body and how the recovery will be. And today we are going to discuss my personal reasons why I have decided to remove my implants. We are also going to talk a little bit about some health issues that might be potentially linked to having implants. So if that's something you're interested in, then please keep watching. I got my implants 15 years ago. Back then, I was a very different person. Back then, I was this young, insecure girl who thought she needed larger boobs in order to feel beautiful and more feminine. I thought I needed this in order to fit into our society's beauty standards, which is of course sad and silly because you are beautiful the way you are, no matter if you have boobs or if you don't have boobs, no matter if you have soggy boobs or firm boobs, large boobs or small boobs, you are beautiful. But back then, I wasn't so far yet, and I have grown so much since then. And nowadays, I really don't give a fluff about what the society thinks about me, which is very liberating, but that wasn't the case then. So I got implants. And now, 15 years later, I'm here. I have decided to have them removed. The first issue that I had with my implants came actually pretty early after I had the augmentation. I noticed rippling on one of my boobs, and that is supposedly due to the fact that the implants are placed in front of the breast muscle, even though I specifically wanted implants behind the breast muscle. So apparently the surgeon back then also lied to me. He kind of failed to inform me that he decided to place them differently. And I also didn't like how it came out once the boobs settled in their final position, because the nipples are way too high and I don't like that. I never liked that. But the doctor back then told me there is nothing he could have done. He did the best, and that was just the way my boobs were formed. And now with the implants, it's a little bit more visible. And I was very young and very inexperienced, so I didn't do anything about it. I didn't go to any other surgeon because honestly, I also didn't have extra money for another surgery. So I just lived with that. I was still happy to have larger boobs. I enjoyed that for a while, but pretty soon things started getting a little bit worse when it comes to my health. The first thing that I noticed was I started getting a lot of back pain very frequently and a lot of neck pain, and sometimes kind of my neck would be stuck and I couldn't like really turn my head, and I never had these issues before. And then I started having difficulty breathing, where I don't know if it's really linked to the implants or not, but it really started after I got them. So to make this easier, I made a list. I'm just gonna blend a photo in so that you can see it. I made 3 columns. I have a list of symptoms of which I think they might be linked to the implants. It is, in my opinion, very likely. Then I have a middle column where I think, okay, there might be some link indirectly. It could have been either fortified by having a foreign body in my boobs, but it doesn't have to be necessarily. And then I have a third column where I'm basically listing any other issues that I'm having that I already had before, and where I think it has nothing to do with the implants, because I'm trying to be as objective as possible. There is this thing called breast implant illness. I don't know if I have it. I just know that there are some issues that I'm having where I'm pretty sure it could be linked to the implants, and that's for me reason enough to remove them. We're gonna start with the issues of which I think are very likely caused by the implants. So the first on the list is back pain, and the second is neck pain. I have never ever had so much neck and back pain in my entire life. It started very shortly after the surgery. I have clearly underestimated the weight of the implants, and also, especially at the beginning, even though I've been doing some sports, I wasn't exercising so regularly. So it got better over the years once I started doing way more sports and once I started focusing especially on these areas. With stronger muscles, it got easier, but that doesn't mean that I never get these issues. And the neck pain is pretty much the worst. very often my neck is completely stuck and I can't turn it to the side. So I'm making sure I'm exercising a lot and I'm stretching these areas, and that helps a lot, but it's still such a pain in the ass. So the next thing I have here is chest pressure. Obviously, there's a lot of weight. And also there is a certain burning sensation that I'm having very often around my boobs, and that's very uncomfortable. It's not necessarily a pain, but it's a sensation that I feel a lot, and it just makes me aware that there is something inside. And even though it's not necessarily a painful experience, it's also not a pleasurable, like a fun experience. I also started having very often like a stabbing pain in my chest. So they sent me to a cardiologist because they thought first that could be something with my heart, but fortunately my heart is actually very strong and very healthy. So they thought it could be caused by my back pain, because some muscles can tighten here also in the chest when your back is tight, and that can cause some discomfort. And that is probably also the reason why I sometimes feel like I can't properly breathe, because ever since I got my implants, I'm constantly short of breath. And I also started getting breakouts on my boobs, especially on the lower area. I never had this issue before. And I noticed that my posture got horrible. I mean, I'm taking ballet classes, which corrects my posture a lot, but whenever I don't pay attention, I'm just slouching so much. And yes, I'm working on a computer the whole day, so obviously that doesn't really help either. But it started even at times when I wasn't just sitting the whole day, and I always had to make sure that I'm standing straight, and I always kind of had to compensate because it felt like everything is kind of like pulling me downwards, which is most likely the weight of the implants. So I think that these things are pretty sure caused by the implants. The middle column is list of things where it is possible that they are a reaction of having foreign objects in my body, or they are linked to the symptoms in the first column, like for example back pain, because back pain can result in some other symptoms later, because you basically just sit stiff and everything hurts. So the first thing is having very often numb arms. Sometimes when I lay down in the evening or in the afternoon when I'm having a nap on the weekend, I have to be very aware of how I position my arms, because they like getting numb a lot and I just hate that. I'm also dealing very often with swollen legs. There is so much water retention sometimes in my legs, especially in summer. But then again, that could be caused because of some hormonal imbalance that has nothing to do with the implants, or it could be just because I'm gonna turn 44 this year. The breathing issues, again, I don't know how that could be linked, but I started having them after I got the implants. So I don't really know where to position them, so I just put them in the middle. I have been dealing quite a lot with inflammations and temperatures and night sweats ever since I got the implants. I started having itchy ears, which is driving me literally nuts sometimes. And I started being very sensitive to light and to sound, but that could be caused by something completely different. But let's say my body is somehow reacting to having a foreign object in it. Could be maybe some chemical processes that are going on, so possibly. I cannot exclude that completely. And recently I started having problems with my memory, and I wouldn't say necessarily that my brain is foggy, but I used to be a little bit sharper up there. That could be, though, caused also by the fact that last year I graduated and now I can actually allow myself to forget things, so it's just a question mark, but I thought I'm gonna list these things as well. And then there's the right column, and these are things I actually dealt also with before I got the implant, so I don't really necessarily think that they have anything to do with the implants. However, that doesn't mean that they can't be kind of fortified by having a foreign thing in your body. So adult acne, occasionally I get pimples, and sometimes they get really bad. Like right now I'm having pimples on my back, which is something I never had before. But then again, I used to get pimples occasionally, and because I'm someone who just can't leave them alone, they take sometimes a while to heal, which is not necessarily the fault of the pimples, but of these two hands. Then I get sick sometimes more often than, for example, Jack does, but even as a child, I was rather a sickly child. Growing up in a home where my parents smoked did not necessarily make it better. Then sometimes when I get sick, I have problems to swallow, I lose my appetite, but I've dealt with that before as well. And mood swings, depression, anxiety, these are things I have dealt with already as a child, so I don't think that they came just because of my implants when I turned older. And I am pretty sure that most of these things were caused by stress, because once I started going to therapy and once I started kind of prioritizing better and managing my life better, it got better. I pee a lot. I don't know if that could have anything to do with them, but I just thought I'm going to mention it to you. I get dry eyes, but I had that issue before. And sometimes when I'm stressed, I have trouble sleeping, but I think pretty much anyone has these troubles. So as I said, I think this column is more like mentioning that there are some minor issues I'm dealing with, nothing horrible, and I don't really think that these have anything to do with the implants. However, if they would clear afterwards, I would be extremely happy. So this is my personal list. I went through the list of other women who were dealing with breast implant illness, and to be honest, I think like when I look at the left column, at the things that I'm very sure that they have something to do with it, I am so lucky because so many women had it far, far worse. The main reasons why I want my implants to be removed are obviously the back and the neck pain. I simply don't want to deal with that anymore, which is kind of obvious. Even though my upper body is nowadays way stronger, especially my back, it is capable of dealing with the extra weight in the front. It's still something that happens. I have still regularly back and neck pain, and I'm really looking forward to the day when I'm not gonna be having these issues anymore. Also, the boobs are constantly in the way. I underestimated the size and the weight completely and how it's gonna affect any sports that I'll be doing. And when I'm doing yoga, when I'm stretching, whatever I'm doing, hand balance, these things are always in the way, and I always have to account for this extra weight. And I'm actually looking forward to have my natural body back, the way it was built, so that whenever I'll be practicing, I will not have to think about these giant balls in the front. The other issues, no matter how small they are, I think even the possibility that they might be linked to having these objects in my body is, for me personally, reason enough to not wanting to take any chances in future. So again, another reason why to remove them. And also, once I learned what silicone implants are made of, it became pretty clear to me that that can't be healthy long term, and that I don't want anything like that in my body. There are nowadays even experts who specialize in breast implant issues and who perform basically mainly explant surgeries. They say that it's really important to remove also the capsule, because there can be a lot of information still in the capsule, in the tissue around, and some of the stuff that kind of builds up from the implant. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to be sure that when I'll have my explant surgery, that they will also remove the capsule. And if you want to know a little bit more about that, I would suggest do your research, because I would be basically here just parroting of what I read somewhere else, not knowing much what I'm actually saying. And I also linked down below a playlist where other people are talking about breast implant illness and issues with breast implants. One of the videos from Carissa Pukas, I don't know how to pronounce her name, but Carissa's video is really good because she goes a little bit deeper into this. So I highly suggest watching that. That might give you a little bit more information. During the entire documentation of my explant journey, I will be keeping an eye on this list. I might even add a few more things if I think of something before the surgery. And after the surgery, I will check in regularly. I will let you know how I'm doing, what happened, and whether any of these symptoms cleared and how long it took for them to clear. And that is it pretty much for this video. Tomorrow I will release a second video about my pre-surgery consultation, so stay tuned. And if you have any questions, you can write them in the comments, and I will, as always, list a link down below, a lot of stuff that's related to the subject that we just discussed, and it could be either interesting or useful for you. And that's it for today. Thank you all so much for watching. I love you guys so much, and see you tomorrow. Bye.